Hi, my name is Theo. He is Ruby. This little guy here is Aster. And this is Codingcuy. Today's topic is configurations. This is the last boring part of Drupal. We are going to start with content and theming later. What we are going to do today with Codingcuy is export configurations and create our first configurations commit. With this, we are going to secure a stable version of our site. Configurations in Drupal represents the customizable aspects of the site that are not related to content. We need configurations to persist certain data in our site. For example, the most important, the name of the site. We are saving our brand in a configuration. The slogan of our site is less important, but it's important too. For example, the redirection of our 404 pages. When somebody enters to our site and can't find the content, then he is redirected to a 404 page that is defined by us. And how configurations are stored in our database. Since configurations are complex data, they can have, for example, an range of colors, saying that one color is blue, one color is another color is red, another color is yellow. Well, this is complex data because they will have a key color and some values in it. This complex data should be stored as a plain value. And how PHP stores this value as plain data? Well, there's a process called serialization. With serialization, PHP can create a plain value that has multidimensional values. Then, when PHP requires this complex object, this data, it will require the plain data and do a process called deserialization in order to have this complex data that you have stored initially. What are the benefits of creating configurations in our sites? The first benefit is the standardization. Configurations ensures that the specific settings like content types are consistent across the site. This ensures uniformity and a coherent user experience. They are reusable. This means if you create a configuration, then it can be imported in another Drupal install. One of the best benefits is the version control. With YAMLs, the version control is really easy. Every time you commit a change in the configuration, you will have something to track what changes are done in the database. Upgrades. Configurations are important in upgrades because you will have a stable version of your site, and if you upgrade to a different core version, for example, and you import all configurations, you will identify problems that can occur really easily. One of the main benefits on configurations is the collaboration. Working in the same configuration, for example, the same role of permissions was really difficult in the past. With configurations, you can do changes to the same role, and at some point you will have a merge conflict that is easy to resolve due to the YAMLs. There's an important stuff about configurations. Overall, if you are developing a custom model, well, configurations are not big sets of data. Why? Because this deserialization process is hard and at some point can affect your performance, the security of the site, and some other aspects. If you want to import data in Drupal, there are alternatives I will teach you later in these lessons. For example, migrations or feeds. We barely started the project and we need configurations. Yes, at some point we need to export our configurations. This is required because we need to know our start point in our Git history. So we want our site to have a starting point where we have not touched anything. Okay, we are going to cd our project, which is Codingcuy. Okay, we are now in the main branch, and I'm going to run the theme start. This command will allow us to have our site online again. This is initiating all the containers again that we have created in previous lessons. Now that I have our site, I will enter it. Okay, here's the site. And we're speaking about configurations. So where's the menu I want to investigate? It's here, of course, in configuration. These are the configurations that we have in our site. For example, if I enter the basic site settings, I will check that the first word here in site name is my Drupal 9 site. This configuration is the name of the site. So if I change it, for example, for Codingcuy, and if I save this configuration, then I go back to the site, there we go. We have the Codingcuy site name. This is retrieving our site name from the configuration we've already set. Okay, this is really easy to understand, as you know. There are more complex configurations here. Let me check if there's a complex configurations to show to you. For example, text formats and editors is a complex configuration. If we check here, we have basic HTML and full HTML. Do not pay too much attention to this now. We are going to learn a lot about this in the future. But if we enter this configuration, we will check that we have lots of configurations, lots of CK editor configurations. These configurations are stored in a serialized variable, as I told you. So it's really complex in this case because it's a complex model. And if we develop a custom model, we will add configurations, and we can add these configurations here. And it's at least for me, it's a really good practice to create a configuration and create the link to configurations here, because you can create a model, create configurations file, maybe create a form that stores these configurations, but you can't miss creating these. And it's important in order to have order in our site. Now that we have reviewed these configurations in the user interface, we are going to create our Codingcuy site configurations. We are going to export them and create another commit, so we will have some version of our site. I am on the main branch of our site, and I will export configurations. I will do it with Drush. Drush will gather all the configurations we have in our site and store them somewhere in our site. If I run Drush cex now, which is the alias for export configurations, it will export in the default folder. I would love to export configurations in the main directory of our site. This is a good practice too. You will have more control if you have configurations on the root of your project. What will I do for change this? I will open this project, open the setting file, and then scroll down in order to find the configuration sync variable. Let me scroll, and here is the config sync directory. Okay, this is the default configuration file stored in files folder in our default site. This is not a good idea if I'm sharing this site. I will store this configuration in the root of our site. Remove this and type // This will move the objective of the config sync to this folder or directory. I will save, and then if I run Drush cex, which is the acronym for content export, I will be exporting all my configurations, all my default configurations. That's why if I run git status, I will have the config directory in the untracked files. What I will do is add this, adding in this case dot again, because I want to add all the configurations that I have exported. And then I will commit my configurations. And there we go. Here is all the configurations I have exported. All these files are now exported. And we have now a difference with our remote repository. So I want to export these configurations to my remote repository. So in this case, I will clear here because I don't like the console which is not clean. I would export fint export. No. I want to git push origin main. And since this is a git directory, I will push all my configurations to our repository. Now we can check our repository again in GitHub. This is my Codingcuy repository. And I will check that now I have all these configurations. It's a really huge file, but it's really important to know that we have now a stable version of our site, and this site can work as it is, because at some point if we create this deployment script, we will add a command that sets Drupal to import the configurations that we have created here. And at some point, if Drupal has not these configurations, it will give you an error. In these lessons, we are going to learn how to deploy a site to a clean cloud using Jenkins, because it's a cheap version and the version that lets you understand better what's going on when you deploy. Because if you use something more complex or more built-in, like IKEA or Pantheon or Platform SH, it will resolve many of the tasks we are going to resolve manually and understanding what's going on. At some point, if you learn how to work with the cloud and with Jenkins, it's really easy to understand what's a pipeline, what's going on in a server, and what are the possible errors you will have, a lot of stuff.
Please subscribe, my food is really expensive, I need to eat.
If this video was useful for you, please subscribe, hit the like button, and stay tuned for more lessons.